All right, so I've set this up with the squash and stretch. So as you can see here, my squash and stretch is working. Okay, and then what I want to do is set it up so that I've added my squash and stretch, which will be my driver. So there you go. So I just want to get this set up. Excellent. All right, so I've got this set up. So I have my squash and stretch one. So if I go 5, you can see it come up a bit. 0, all right, squashes it down. So you see that now. It's nice to have this, but we want to drive this with something else. So let's go ahead and look at. We'll make a little interface, make it very simple. I'll do something that'll help you come to terms with this. I'll do something very simple, and then we'll look at just adding this. Okay? Okay, so I built, this is the little interface. So what I could do here at this point, I can have it off to the side so it's not the way it shouldn't render. So there we go. If it does, I'll sort that out. So, so basically, this is going to be my squash attributes from 0 to -5, from 0 to +5. And I want to use this to control it. So what are we going to call this one? We're going to call this squash amount. So that's perfectly fine there. And then what I want to do is I only want it to be able to move up and down. So I'm going to do translate X, Z. I don't want to rotate it anywhere or scale it. I shall just lock that then. Okay, so these are my attributes and I shall lock them. There we go. So now there's that. So I can only move it up and down. Okay. So what I want to do now is create a relationship or a wire between this, which is the make it easier to squash and stretch, and um, squash and stretch attribute here. So, or actually this particular attribute here. There you go. So really, do squash and stretch handle. There's that. So you can see here now. It's out a bit. Very good. Um, so that should be this. Okay. All right. So I've got my little interface here, so I can do +5, -5 here. And what I want to do then is I'm just going to make an expression very quickly. So look at this. Go 1 to 5, and I can squish it down. So there you go. Now, that's a bit too much. So let's have a look at the expression then here. There you go. So here's my expression editor here. Um, just magnify this a bit. Beautiful. Okay, so when I come in here, I have my expression editor, which is, I've called it squash something or other. There we go. And this is it. So I've just used these things. So the Mr. Bouncy, which is the ball, dot squash and stretch, that is the attribute that I edited, equals squash amount, okay, translate Y. Okay, so that means, so if I come in here, I'll close that and let's go back. So I set up the ball with a squash and stretch, but you see there's a purple, so I can't change that because it's being controlled by an expression. This is my squash amount. So I this has been set up normally through driven keys and things like that, but now I have this nice little, so I could have a little controller. I just have to reach over here. And as I move this, my ball squashes and stretches. So I've got it set here. So if I just come drop it down there, then I can have it locked there. And then this is my whole hierarchy should work. So even no matter where I move this, should all be relative. There we go. So it works great. Okay. So I'm going to close this for a second. So I've got that working beautifully. And let me just show you if I wanted to set up an expression here, um, which you can do all sorts of things with. I showed a little bit with the gears and stuff, but let's say we wanted to control the value of a light or something like that. So I just come in here like this, okay? I shall throw this on the floor. And what I'm going to do is just move this light over a bit. And so I could go from intensity 0 to 100, right? Or 200. So let's call this, this will be light to control. Okay, there you go. Light to control. Okay, beautiful. And how do I want to control it? I might be able to use the same thing, but what I want to do is just add a little controller to this. So um, I don't change the color, but I do want to change the intensity. So I could create an expression for it. So there it goes. There's intensity. And see, it gives me the intensity just there. Now, I come down here for a second. There we go. Notepad is your friend when you're trying to do this stuff. There we go. So light control intensity. What is that going to be controlled with? I could create another object to control it, and I think I'll just do that. There you go. So I'm going to keep that open for a minute, just move it off here a little bit. So I will just use a torus to do this. So front view. And, oops, sorry. There we go. And I shall call this light controller. I could build another little interface there. I suppose what I could do is come into my front view. I'll move it over here. There we go. And there we go. Beautiful. So what is this? This is the light controller. So we'll make that translate Y. Okay? And because it's a little bit easier to do it this way. So there's the light intensity. And there's the light controller. So the light controller equals light to control shape intensity equals light controller translate Y. I could use any of the attributes of it. So there we go. Let's try this then. And what you have to do, you have to then hit create. And it seems to be working. Maybe. Okay. Just leave that there. You can see now I've got this going on. So if it's not enough, what I could do is say, let's do this. Light controller equals this, and I'll do just a times 2. I think that will work. Oh, doesn't like it. If I come at the beginning here. Right, so my times 2 seems to be working. Let's try times 5. You always have to hit edit with your expressions to update them. There you go. I'm going to also make a copy of that. As we can see here, I can control the intensity of it. So if I bring up this light, okay, light controller. No, I don't want the light controller. I want the light. There we go. Put this down a bit. You can see that this is changing. So I can't change this by hand now. So I do have a nice little controller there for my lights. And I could change the colors. I could make a little, just by quickly creating an expression that is sort of written for you, you got that. So that's a bit of an explainer there. And hopefully it helps you make life easier. So we now have a squash and stretch. Beautiful. We don't want to move it that far. So I could probably change this a bit also. So if I have that, I could come back into my expression editor and make adjustments, but there we go. So it's not quite there. So I want to just, I'll probably go back into the expression editor. And go to, find it. There it is. So this is the squash and stretch. So if that's going by too much, so I could do it divided by 2 and edit to update it. So that might actually work a bit better now. So let's have a quick look. Uh, let's let's put a silly number in there. 10. Edit it to save it. There you go. That does work better. That's about That's about right now. So there you go. So I'm quite happy with that. Beautiful. And I can now animate this if I want to. Everything is up to date. So here's my, just get rid of that for now. So there's my interface that I can do all sorts of cool stuff with. This is hierarchically linked, and so that's the master move controller. So I can just bang this over here, my little environment. And what I could do is just come to the front view now and make sure that I'm using the master controller, which I believe I am. Okay, excellent. And I can start setting keyframes here. Let me just set up my preferences correctly. Well, I'm going to just stay there. So let's go 50, 50. Um, and I'm just going to do linear and linear. Okay. So there we go. So there's my master mover. So I can do what I want to with this. So what I'm going to do here is just come in here. And I'm really just going to animate this in the Y. So I guess I'll put this up here. Okay. So I'll just key selected. Oops. Didn't want it. Oh, that's fine. Okay. Go here. There we go. That's what I want to do. I think I should close these here. Okay, there we go. Key selected. Frame 150. Key selected. Now the nice thing about having squash and stretch on something different here is I'm not going to mess up my keyframes here. So there we go. So if I'll 75, let's just put that one there. Okay, and let's key selected. Very exciting animation, I know. And so, okay, I want to do the same thing with my squash and stretch here. So I'm going to do key that, go to the end. I can key that. I don't want a gentle thing, but what I want to do is just before it gets there. So it gets there 75. So maybe it just before it gets there, we're going to do a just for now, just to make this clear. What I will do is I'll key selected 80. And back key selected. Let's go to 75. Now the nice thing of it is we know we want it to squash. Okay, I shall squash it down. If I've done this right, it should be pretty good. Key selected. All right, so I definitely got a squash. On the way back here, what I want to do is I want a bit of a stretch as they leave. So this is someplace where I could start to stretch it out. So there you go. And I do have the key at the end. So before I do that, let's just add a key. At least by here, it should be in its normal shape. So I'll just key that. There you go. Come here. Let's stretch it up a bit. Key selected. So let's just have a quick look. So I got one. I can see that that is not coming back quick enough, but it sort of works. So let's just have a. I haven't edited this at all, so I coming down. It's too slow, but that's okay. Bang. All right. So what I can do now is let's go into the track view, Windows, animation editor, the graph editor. There we go. So as you can see, there is my graph editor here. And let's take a look at this first. So take this, break my tangents. And what I want to do is let's just take this one. I'll go spline. I'll go. So here goes. I could just, this is nice because I can just select and spline base. So there goes. So it's gonna adjust the speed back up here, and this is gonna be my speed accelerating. Okay. I come to 75. There we go. Break tangents. Okay, so I can do that a bit. There you go. And really, what I want to do is I probably want to just start a bit higher. There you go. I can just take these guys since it's I can move that keyframe. Okay, I've got two bouncing balls basically. This is one of them. Pretty closely. Wow. This is where it comes back. Come in here and fix that. Maybe I don't need that much of a squash, but that's okay. I can always change that. There we go. There we go. It's beautiful. Okay, so I've got keyframes galore, and there's a little introduction to this, and I can tweak this out a bit. So um, maybe I don't want linear keyframes all the way here, so come here. So there he goes. He hits there. So let's move in here, and let's just make our spline tangents. Linear clamp step. There's all sorts of things, but I'm going to go for splines. Okay, there we go. Gotta be careful now. There we go. Oh, it's going to affect this if I bring that. down. There we go. Nice. Even this out a bit. Over just a bit. Boom. I don't want the squash and stretch to go beyond when it starts to go back up, so I'll fix that. You see, I have a lot of flexibility here with this, which is very nice. And it's relatively easy to edit and do things with. All right, so let's have a quick look then at, done all this work setting things up and getting a ball to bounce. But we want to be able to make things repeat here. So there's a couple things you want to do. So this is in the graph editor again. Here we go. We're doing just translate Y for now. You guys can get more complex as you go along here. And so if you come in here to view, there's this thing, this is generally turned off, okay? The infinity. So, and if you can do here, you can do show, tangents, keys, curves. You can have this post infinity, but of course you can't see it right now. So if we go to view, there we go. So it's created these curves that just keep going. So let's take a look at what this looks like now. Um, just fix my interface here a little bit. All right, so I got these curves, and again, like I said, it'd be a complete waste if we had this lovely animation and we couldn't do anything with it. Okay, there you go. So just making sure I'm recording. There we go. So you have your panels here. There you go. In our graph editor. So what we want to be able to do is show this thing to infinity. So here we go. Um, select that. I'm not want that on right now. There we go. So what we're going to do is come in here, panels. So in curves, like I said, we have this post, infinity. Um, just take that guy now. Curves. I just really want to see that one. There we go, beautiful. And then pre-infinity, post-infinity, I'm just going to cycle that, but nothing looks any different. But if you notice, our ball keeps bouncing once I've done that. Okay, so what we want to be able to do is view infinity. There it goes. There we go. We have our um, ability to make our ball bounce based on the original thing. Okay. We have a number of things here. So we could cycle it with an offset. There we go. Change things as they go along. this. So if I want this to go a bit longer, say, let's say I want come in here, just to 300 frames. Okay, so I should have enough frames to do all this. You can see I can keep going and going and going and going and going and going. There we go. Okay, there we go. So I can make that go into infinity. All right, so I set this up a little bit easier to see, but I've got my very basic animation. So if I can, just going to turn off infinity for a second. There we go. And there's this. Okay. I will turn infinity back on. There you go. I don't know why they do that, but they do. And there you go. So there's this little glitchy thing here, which is not very good, but I want to fix that. So see how it comes in. Oh, there's a little bit of squash and stretch thing. There we go. Just reopen my scene here. There we go. There we go. There's my animation. Beautiful. And let's go to the graph editor then. There it is. So that's nothing done here. So I should be able to view. I've got infinity on and everything. So there you go. So what I can do is, now there are buttons for this too, which for now I'm not going to mess with it. So there you go. So post infinity, I can make this cycle. There you go. A bit cleaner than what I had before. There you go. Just make sure recording. There you go. That'll just, if I add additional frames now, say 500, it can just go forever. There you go. Okay. And come to the animation editor here really quick. Maybe you can see it a little bit better. And so let's go 300, 300, there we go. So now it goes to 300, it will just keep going. So you can see that is. So I could also set up my, oh, sorry. Let's come back in here. There we go. Curves, pre-infinity, I could get it to cycle so it's happening before and after.